Hello, and welcome to Mortgage Solutions with Mark Rigney. I'm Mark Rigney, your host, and on today's show we will discuss a very hot topic in the mortgage and real estate industries, and that is the short sale transaction. This is a two-part show. Part one will be the short sale process from the seller's point of view. Part two will be the short sale process from the buyer's point of view. Now, a foreclosure in real estate is not always a pleasant transaction. There are many ways to lose a home, but signing away ownership in a manner that destroys credit, embarrasses the family, and strips an owner of dignity is one of the hardest. For owners who can no longer afford to keep mortgage payments current, there are alternatives to bankruptcy and foreclosure proceedings. One of those options is called a short sale. Now, a short sale is a sale of real estate in which the sale proceeds fall short on the balance owed on the property's loan. If you were considering a short sale, you will want to pay particularly close attention to today's show. What you learned today from our expert can help you in a multitude of ways throughout the process. Today we will discuss the short sale process with a real estate attorney who specializes in processing and closing short sale transactions. Lawrence Tucker from New Era Title. Hi Lawrence, and welcome to today's show.
Hi Mark, thank you for having me today.
Lawrence, if I were a consumer and I were underwater in my mortgage and I was considering a short sale, what are the steps that I would have to go through to do a short sale?
Well, first, Mark, you got to mentally decide you're ready to short sell. I mean, just this morning, CNN reported that 1 million homes will be foreclosed on this year. That's
1 million homes.
1 million homes. That's not the number
Is that 2010 or 2011?
2010.
Oh,
that's not the number that will begin foreclosure proceedings. That's not the number that will start to creep into foreclosure. That's actual foreclosures. That's a startling number. And experts are predicting that could go up as much as 50% next year. Now, what you've mentioned is there are other alternatives. We view the short sale as a great alternative for foreclosure for reasons we will discuss further later. But the first step is really a mental step. You have to prepare yourself for the process. The lender is going to request that you put together a package in order for them to ascertain whether or not your collateral, your house, is eligible for a short sale. And in general, most lenders request the following. They request a hardship letter, which in it you detail why you can no longer afford the home. And that hardship is not because the real estate market has fallen. Well, the real estate market's fallen in most of the country, so they're well aware that the real estate market's fallen. But maybe because your job was in construction and now that real construction is down so much, your income is not the same. Maybe you had a short-term ARM on your house, an ARM being an adjustable rate mortgage that is adjusted to a point where you can no longer afford it. Maybe you were receiving spousal support, had a tenant. There are a variety of reasons. Each hardship is different. However, you're going to have to detail a hardship to the lender. Additionally, the lender is going to request other documents such as 2 current pay stubs. Well, what if you don't have pay stubs? Well, that could be a huge hardship right there, that you don't have a job. If you don't have a job, you're going to have a hard time affording your home. Generally, they want 2 months bank statements and some of the other financial documents such as tax returns. Much like when you applied for a mortgage, you gave them the same package. This is the same package you'll review for a short sale. So mentally, once you've gotten together those documents, once you've committed to the process, then you're going to work with a real estate agent, get an active listing for the property, and get a contract on the property. A lot of times, a lot of the clients we see are so concerned that their property, that their agent is telling them to list their property for so much less than they owe. Well, that is unfortunate, clearly, that it's worth much less, but that makes them the ideal candidate for a short sale.
Okay. We talked on our credit report show the devastating effects that a foreclosure can have on a credit report. Tell us, what is the difference between a short sale on your credit report and a foreclosure on your credit report?
Excellent question, Mark. And that is probably the predominant reason that if you are someone who has a house that's underwater, you want to consider a short sale as opposed to a foreclosure. foreclosure is generally a 7-year statutory bar from new lenders issuing you a mortgage. 7 years is a long time. The tax laws and some of the banking codes have changed in 2010, where now Fannie Mae has come out and said, if you do a short sale, which appears on your credit report as a settled debt, as opposed to a foreclosure, if you do a short sale, you're eligible to reacquire a property within 24 months.
24 months
24
as opposed
months.
to 7 years.
2 years as opposed to 7 years. That's a lifetime of difference.
Do you know what the effects on your credit score will be for a foreclosure versus a short sale?
Another good question, and one that's hard to answer with certainty. It depends where your other credit is. If you've been paying your credit cards, if you've been paying the other consumer loans on your credit. Again, it really depends how profound your hardship's been and what you've been able to pay. But what we've experienced and what we've been told is that in general, a short sale could lower your credit up to 120 points. If you were a 760 beforehand, you could fall to 640. Again, out of 640. But the good news is, once you've done that short sale, once it's completed, your credit starts to rehabilitate. So you'll find that within that 24-month period, by promptly paying your other credit cards, consumer loans, which you have not lost because you have not declared bankruptcy or been foreclosed on, you will rehabilitate your credit. So then when you're eligible to apply for a new mortgage, you qualify anyway.
You said a short sale could affect your credit score by 120 points. How many points can a foreclosure affect your credit score? I know there's no one set answer, but generally speaking.
We've seen instances that it's been above 240 points.
Oh my gosh.
So and we've seen, a lot of people panic when they get the final foreclosure notice and then declare bankruptcy. That again has a huge deleterious effect on your credit. So we've seen credit where you're losing your credit cards, possibly your car, other assets you have.
Right.
We've seen 200+ point drops, and those, excuse me, those plunges are precipitous. It's really hard to, as Jim spoke about, to move that credit up substantially and quickly. So one of the benefits of a short sale is you haven't fallen as far, it's easier to get back up. Additionally, once the short sale's been lodged, been accepted, the asset's been cleared off your name, the credit starts to rehabilitate right away.
Lawrence, we know that a short sale will have a less devastating effect on one's credit report than a foreclosure. What are some of the other advantages of a short sale over a foreclosure?
Well, Mark, one of the major advantages of doing a short sale is you're aware of what the lender is accepting for the property. You're aware of the deficiency in the mortgage balance, and that helps you figure out things like possible taxation. One of the changes to the tax code that's come about in the last year and a half is that the first $1 million in mortgage forgiveness on your primary residence, if you've met some of the occupancy tests, is forgiven. This is not the case on investment properties. When you do a short sale on an investment property, you're well aware of, number one, what your deficiency is going to be because you know what the figure the lender is receiving. That can help you figure out your taxes, figure out if you're going to have phantom capital gain on the property, figure out your further financial situation. Additionally, when you don't control that, meaning when you do a short sale, you're in control.
Right.
When you go to foreclosure, it's not in your control.
Completely out of your hands.
Your house that was once worth $700,000, which might now be worth $300,000, the lender can say they only received $100,000 for it upon a foreclosure. Well, then you're paying that deficiency through taxation. So short sale, you're in control of the situation. Additionally, many states out there, the lender still could have personal recourse against you. When you do a short sale, you have the ability to mitigate that. That is key. You can negotiate with the lender what you might owe them further.
Right.
Even worse, third-party collection agencies can buy the charged-off debt and hound you for 20 years.
Oh my gosh.
But when you do a short sale, you're in control of these things. You not necessarily can dictate to the lender what the terms are going to be, but you have some say in the give and take about what you're going to be charged, what they're going to accept, what the future liability is going to be. When you do a foreclosure, you've washed your hands clean and you have to accept whatever comes your way. Additionally, as we've spoken about, and as you alluded to in your entry, there's less of an emotional impact. I mean, there's less stigma associated with it. Yeah, you had a hardship, but because of your efforts, you worked with the lender to help them get rid of the collateral. Lenders actually appreciate that, and we find that by doing a short sale, the lender's less likely to come after you personally for any recourse, where when you do a foreclosure, they can come after you for years, or they could set the liability at what they want, an arbitrary value that you have no control over.
Why is it important, as an attorney, is it important to utilize an attorney or law firm when doing a short sale?
We find it's most effective from a credibility standpoint. We find that banks are more likely to negotiate with a law firm. They're more likely to have their loss mitigation people be receptive to what we present them to, as instead of the borrower trying to do it themselves, or even worse, the borrower's realtor trying to do it on their behalf. By having an independent third party with knowledge and experience and who's seasoned and who has done this, we're not green in short sales. We've closed hundreds of them, and the reason we've closed hundreds of them is we know how to communicate with the loss mitigators. We know what they're looking for. We know that in short sales, you really get one bite of the apple, so we present the package to them the right way, and which helps expedite the approval process.
I deal with a lot of consumers that are considering doing a short sale, and they often have their real estate agents do this negotiating for them. Is that a good, you mentioned the agent just a minute ago, is that a good or a bad idea?
We think it's a bad idea for the primary reason that not only is it a conflict of interest because the real estate agent is trying to make a commission from the sale of the property, but more importantly, we often find that in trying to keep their commissions set, the client's best interest is not put first. So
it is a conflict of interest.
We believe it is. Then what happens, when the real estate agent tells the person to stop paying their mortgage because that's the only way the short sale will get approved.
Right.
We don't,
that's not a good idea.
We don't like real estate agents giving unsolicited legal advice without knowing the credit consequences, the tax implications, or just again, we believe that that's self-interested and not in the client's best interest. We work with real estate agents. They're our lifeblood, and we do our best to preserve full 6% commissions. However, when something has to give, we're aware of that, and we're not going to walk somebody to foreclosure because the commission needs to be cut to make the deal go through.
You mentioned tax implications. What